Craig, I've heard it's a buyer's market now, like, I don't know, probably 40 times in the last 2 weeks. Agents, buyers, even my barber. Let me put you on the spot. Is it a buyer's market right now, or what's going on?
Well, I would say which one? Because it's not, South Florida is not a market. It's at least two markets wearing the same name. And now they're kind of pointed in opposite directions.
Yeah, that's true. So before we get to a buyer's market, what defines a buyer's market, by the way, anyhow?
So it's the perfect place to start. Most people using the phrase couldn't tell you the definition. There is one. It's a real number. It's just that nobody who says the phrase ever cites it. To make it more interesting, the local definition down here isn't the same as the national rule of thumb. So
Yeah, yeah. So today we're going to we're going to define the term. We're going to go through South Florida with the actual data and show that what exactly makes a buyer's market. It's not just a vibe. There is actual data to show that it's a buyer's market. And what are people, why are they talking about it? What's going on?
Yep. And the punchline will surprise some people. By local definition, one half of the market still belongs to sellers and the other half generally belongs to buyers. So in the same county in the same month.
So welcome back to the South Florida Mortgage Report. It's Billy May, your hat dude wearing mortgage guy, always joined with Craig Garcia, president of Capital Partners Mortgage. Morning, Craig.
Good day, Bill.
All right. So you're up.
So,
What is the metric, Craig?
so we're talking about the metric that makes it a buyer's market or seller's market. And the metric is months of supply, sometimes months of inventory. Simple idea. If no new listings came on, how many months would it take to sell everything for sale right now at the current pace? Active listings divided by homes selling per month.
All right. So basically it measures kind of how backed up the inventory is on the shelf, basically.
Correct. Now, where it gets a little fuzzy, the national shorthand that everybody quotes is under 4 months is a seller's market, 4 to 6 months worth of inventory is balanced, and over 6 months is a buyer's market, which is a fine rule of thumb, but it's just that. It's a rule of thumb from decades of national averages. There's no referee or agency that says, hey, this is definitively a buyer's market or a seller's market. And local markets don't all draw the line in the same place.
Yeah, especially South Florida. South Florida kind of draws the line, I don't know, differently or somewhere else because just the way that South Florida is.
So our own Miami Realtors reports treat 6 to 9 months as balanced down here. So the local line for a buyer's market's higher, north of 9, really. That one detail changes the conversation. And it's exactly why I wouldn't say, hey, people ought to memorize the national number and slapping it on a Miami condo, for example. The right question isn't are we over 6 months of inventory? It's what does the local data say for this property type in this county at this price point?
Yeah. And so there's another way people say, like, same thing, kind of absorption rate, right? Like, how are these homes being absorbed?
It's the other side of the same coin. So the percentage of inventory that sells each month, you don't need both months of supply right against the local definition is perfectly fine.
And let's talk nationally first, and we'll kind of delve into South Florida. What's going on nationally?
So nationally, it's balanced and leaning towards the seller. So the June existing home sales report had the country at about 4.6 months of supply.
Interesting. Interesting. So prices.
That's what is frustrating. Buyers may be sitting here waiting for some kind of a market crash. The national median hit about 440,600 in June. It's the 36th straight month of year-over-year price gains. 3 years every month, the prices are up.
So some of these buyers are like, hey, just wait, it'll tank, right? That's kind of what people think.
They've been wrong for 3 years, and certainly 3 years that have included some pretty rough interest rate increases. And so activity might be soft in some places, but low inventory keeps a floor under prices.
Yeah. And so in rates, I mean, Freddie Mac survey came out with rates. I mean, where have we been and where are we right now?
Which is usually your territory, but we're
Yep.
still Freddie Mac's still in the 6.5 range.
Right.
Individual quotes might be higher or lower with depending on credit score points, loan size,
Right.
property type, all of the factors. The Fed got a little bit more cautious in June. They held the target range on the Fed funds rate steady, but the projections turned a little bit more hawkish, and the market kind of bet on maybe more likely of a rate increase by the end of the year than what we were looking at is some cuts not that long ago. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So let's talk back about to the main event here, talk about South Florida real estate. So
yeah.
let's run through the South Florida through the definition. What exactly is a buyer's market and down here in South Florida too?
So yeah, well, we'll use Miami-Dade, and these are current numbers from the Miami Realtors May report. And the interesting thing is when you separate what between houses and condos.
Yeah, so let's start with single family. I mean that's most people want to buy a single family home, which is defined as anything
So
but a
yep,
condo.
yep. So single family in Miami-Dade, 5.2 months of supply. By the local definition, we're balanced to 6 to 9. It's a little bit more of a seller's market. And the rest agrees. Median single family price was 680,000, up about 3/4% year over year. Homes went to contract in about 41 days, and single family inventory was actually down about 19% from last year. Fewer houses, prices up, 6 weeks to contract. Buyers have more breathing room than during the frenzy, but
Right.
they don't control the single family home market.
Yeah, so for a single family home in Miami-Dade, there really is no buyer's market. That's not true, correct?
Not true. Not true. Now, condos,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hit me with condos. That's a totally different story.
Condos in Miami-Dade, 12.9 months of supply. So that clears the local buyer's market line with room to spare. Median condo price fell about 2.35% year over year to 415,000, while houses rose. Condos took about 64 days to go to contract versus 41 for houses, and nearly half of condo sales were cash.
Wow. Yeah. So you look at it, same market, and basically it's opposites. I mean, it's a seller's market for single family homes, but it's buyer's market for condos.
Yeah. 5.2 versus 12.9. That's kind of the headline. An agent who's talking with a condo seller that thinks the prices are only going up, or a house buyer expecting to lowball it and win is maybe a little bit off.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to that. You said about that cash demurrage, though. I mean, half being cash doesn't automatically mean like financing's broken, right? Does it?
No, I mean it means two things at once. I don't want to overstate one. Miami always has a deep cash base. Foreign buyers, wealth migration, people cashing out of pricier U.S. markets. That's that we've always had a good amount of cash here. But certainly, as we know, financing friction on condos is real. There's less than 1% of South Florida condo buildings are FHA approved.
Yep.
21 buildings out of 2,400. And we've talked many times, the agencies are tightening, Fannie and Freddie, eliminating limited reviews starting August 3rd. So sometimes cash is a little bit more than a preference. Sometimes you could that might be the only way to buy certain condos, although I think that's pretty limited with the amount of different loan options that we have available out there right now.
Yeah. And to get back onto the condo inventory, I mean, in South Florida, it's getting flooded with condos, right? I mean, we're going to have even more condos coming on the market.
Yeah, it's not a. I mean, people might overshoot this a little bit. I mean, condo supply is elevated. 12.9 months is a lot, but it's not a flood. I mean, condo inventory has actually declined year over year, several months running, and it's not a fire sale on prices either. In Palm Beach County, condos still close at about 92% of original list price in May. So the softness may show up in the time and the leverage, but not a price collapse. I mean, the leverage is real, but it's not a throw any low ball and win type of a market. It is certainly building by building.
Interesting. So why is condo supply so high if listings are coming down?
So four things hitting at once is more about hesitation than a listing surge. The post Surfside structural compliance, reserve funding, insurance, and financing friction. So all those things coming together. Buildings 3 stories and up have to deal with the milestone inspections, the structural integrity reserve studies, the SIRS report, as we call them. Most existing associations needed that reserve study done by the end of 25, with reserve funding kicking in on 26 budgets. And if the study says the associations is short, that can mean higher dues, special assessment, or a loan that they have to get. And some of that uncertainty makes buyers hesitate and makes lenders ask harder questions. So units sit more and months of supply climbs even as new listings ease. So some buildings are in great shape. Frankly, we certainly see it, and some are not. So the mistake is treating every condo as either toxic or a bargain. Uh, It just kind of depends on the building and the documents that the building can provide. And that's reading those documents that's part of what we do.
Yeah. Well, does that hold outside of Miami-Dade County?
So it's a little sharper. So in May, Broward single family was at 4.5 months of inventory, and Palm Beach single family at 4.1. So both tighter than Miami-Dade's 5.2, but their condos and townhouses carried a much more supply, 10.6 months in Broward, 7.7 in Palm Beach. So it's not South Florida's a buyer's market. South Florida houses are tight, and South Florida condos are where the buyers have leverage, certainly.
Yes, even where it's a buyer's market, the condos buyers aren't really feeling powerful. They feel kind of stuck, right?
Yeah, because it's the buyer's market that talks about the leverage that you might have, but affordability is different. You can have all the negotiating leverage in the world, still face a 6.5% interest rate and a high association fee, possible special assessment coming. So the leverage doesn't lower your payment as much as you might hope, and so people
So how does a buyer actually use a buyer's market then?
So in a buyer's market, the leverage shows up in kind of what you can ask for, not just the price. So seller concessions towards closing costs. With 12 months of condo inventory, a seller will often pay costs to get it done. We see that quite a lot. A seller paid rate buy down. Instead of chasing the sticker price down, have the seller fund a buy down that lowers your payment for the first couple of years. That can hit the monthly payment harder than a small price cut. So, and I know that we've looked at examples where if you do the price cut versus a temporary buy down, leaving the price but funding a temporary buy down could make a 10 times greater difference in the payment coming down than just the price cut alone.
Oh
So,
yeah, no doubt. That 2 on buy down's a great program. I know
yeah,
we've got the spreadsheet to kind of show people how it works. That's a fantastic way.
yeah, dollar for dollar, even if you didn't do this temporary buy down where you're getting this big drop in the payment for the first 1 or 2 years, if you just did a permanent buy down instead of doing a price cut, it's actually a 2.5 times what we found, 2.5 times higher impact to the payment, the permanent rate buy down, than just the price cut alone. So that's definitely one of the ways that it can help make it feel more affordable on a monthly
Mm.
payment basis. So
Yeah.
another thing is assessment credits. If the building has an assessment coming, obviously you can negotiate for the seller to pay that credit the way that things are in some condo buildings. You certainly have the standing to ask for that. And maybe inspections, repairs, things like that. If you've got property's been sitting for a while and you want the seller to fix some things in a condo where you feel like you've got the leverage, that's also something that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's get back to the house side. So on the house side, where it's still kind of a seller's market, what's going on there?
That's a little different. I mean, it's a little tighter. 6 weeks to contract. It's probably not going to work if you just try to flat out lowball somebody. You definitely want to come in pre-approved, ready to go. It's a different playbook. I don't think you can look at how you might approach an offer in a condo versus how you might approach an offer in a house exactly the same right now because it's probably different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it in the offers that are out there right now that I'm dealing with, and there's not a lot. You got to come in, single family home, it's got to come in like full price, or pretty close to it. I mean, yeah. So let's talk about how to read this real deal. So give people a practical test they can use tomorrow, Craig.
So for a house, ask how long has it been listed? How many price cuts? How clean is my approval, my pre-approval? And what does the seller actually need? For a condo, ask about the building, the budget, the reserves, the SERS, the insurance, litigation, any delinquency rates. Delinquency rates you're not going to be able to get a hold of, but you'd be surprised just by asking and getting the listing agent to get the seller involved, how much information you may be able to get from a condo before.
Yeah, yeah. So this sharp version, which people will be walking away with today.
Month of supply is the number, but use the local definition, not the national one. So down here, balanced is 6 to 9 months. And, Miami-Dade single families, not a buyer's market. Condos are. The split holds Tri-County. I mean, Broward, Palm Beach, houses are even tighter. The condos are a lot looser than the houses. So, and then, yeah, for buyer's market, it means leverage, not affordability. Use the leverage, concessions, buy downs, inspections, assessment credits, but only after financing and the condo docs check out.
Okay, and the one liner for today is
The question isn't is it a buyer's market? It is, where do I actually have leverage and can this property be financed? It's kind of the difference between shopping like headlines and, having an intelligent approach to your buying.
If you want to know which side of this line your specific situation falls on, that's the call to make before you write anything.
Yeah. Send it to us. Tell us the property type, price point, building. If it's a condo, we can really dig in and try to see what kind of information we already have on the condo, and then give you some advice on how to play it, and also what kind of documents that you ought to try to obtain before you put an offer on a condo.
Thank you for listening and watching the South Florida Mortgage Report. And Craig, we will see you
At the
at
closing
the
table,
closing
sir.
table. All right. Take care.
Thank you for watching and listening to the South Florida Mortgage Report, brought to you by Capital Partners Mortgage Services.